කිසිම දවසක කිසිම නායකයෙක් යටතේ අවුරුදු 18 කාලයක් විපක්ෂයේ හිටියේ නැහැ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය.
තමන්ට ඕන විදිහට ව්‍යවස්ථාව වෙනස් කර ගැනීමට තමයි මේ නායකවරයා අරන් දින්නේ.
සුරතලේට වගේ අපි විපක්ෂය තියාගෙන යනවා.
A very good evening and welcome to a brand new edition of Weekend Primetime News. I'm Arundhati Mudanayaka. As always, let's take a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
The Met Department says that the depression over the Bay of Bengal will move towards Sri Lanka tomorrow. Chief suspect in the museum robbery arrested. Former Minister Raja Samranayaka says that under the leadership of Ranil Wickremesinghe, the UNP has been in the opposition for 18 years. The IAAF says the Athletics Association of Sri Lanka was accepted temporarily. The Indian cabinet is reshuffled. Salman Khurshid is sworn in as the new External Affairs Minister.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa participated in a religious program at the Attanagala Rajamaha Vihara this morning.
The President, who arrived at the Attanagala Rajamaha Vihara this morning, engaged in religious observances and visited the chief incumbent, Venerable Dr. Pannila Ananda Thera. Thereafter, the President declared open the Sri Pathiraja Training Centre for monks, which was constructed at the Vihara. Scholarships were also awarded for 380 students from low-income families. The monks' quarters of the Sri Pathiraja Pirivana was declared open yesterday, and the President attended an almsgiving which was held with the participation of 150 monks today.
The police say that the chief suspect in the theft at the National Museum in Colombo has been arrested. Police media spokesperson SSP Prashant Jakade said that the suspect was arrested yesterday in Negombo.
The suspect was arrested by a special police team from the Criminal Investigations Department. While the suspect is currently being interrogated in the custody of the CID, he is due to be produced in court tomorrow. The arrested individual is Lansage Priyantha Mendis alias Kangatta. 10 gold-plated swords, 18 silver rings, 93 gold coins, 34 historic currency notes and other items were stolen while on display at the National Museum in Colombo. 5 months after the theft took place, 3 suspects, including 2 women suspected to be involved in the theft, are arrested by the police.
Colombo Varai.
We were able to solve this case because of investigations conducted into some information that we came across at the home of a suspect in an extortion case at the Colombo harbour. 2 women and the 3-wheeler driver who transported them have been arrested.
As of 23rd of August, 8 suspects had been arrested in connection with the museum robbery.
Common sense dictates that a junkie like this, a drug addict, would not be able to implement such a smooth plan. The ordinary people in the country can see that a program is being undertaken here to allow the thief to escape and corner an innocent man.
The Tangol magistrate permitted the police today to retain and investigate the 14 suspects alleged to have hijacked a boat in Kudavalla and illegally travelling to Australia. The suspects were produced before the magistrate by the Special Investigation Unit of the Matara Police.
The 14 individuals who illegally travelled to Australia by the boat hijacked in Kudavalla were deported by the Australian government. The suspects arrived in the country on a special flight last morning. The police media spokesperson SSP Prashantha Jayakodi said that the suspects were handed over to the Special Investigations Unit of the Mathura Police for further investigation. The police media unit stated that the 3 individuals who went missing after the hijacking were not among the 14 suspects who arrived in the island yesterday. The 3 individuals are 18-year-old Dulaj Chaturanga, 25-year-old Priyantha Indrajit Kumara and now Tunna resident Mirissage Saman. The police stated that investigations to find these individuals are still underway. Meanwhile, the boat which was docked at the Kudawala Fisheries Harbour for repairs was set on fire by an unidentified group last night. Our correspondent reported that the incident occurred at around 9:30 last night. The fire was put out with the help of the Tangwal police.
An individual has been hacked to death in the Horana Angurwathat area today. The police say that the victim had been attacked by an unidentified duo on a motorcycle this morning.
The victim was admitted to the Horana General Hospital where he died from the injuries sustained. The deceased is J. Somasiri, who is a father of 2 and a resident of the Utunura Ukkala area. During the attack, the victim had tried to save himself by entering a nearby house. Eyewitnesses say that the perpetrators had followed him into the house and assaulted him. The time was about 9:30 a.m. Some stranger entered our house and started brawling in the middle of the house. One was injured. This all happened while I was sweeping.
There was a group fighting inside the house, one person stabbing the other. 2 of them left. There were 2 young men wearing shorts.
The police, who arrived upon notification, took the injured individual to the Horana General Hospital. The police also stated the motive behind the murder had been a feud that had spanned over a long period. The police also stated that the deceased was a suspect in a previous murder case. Kumara Senaviratna is stabbed to death near the Dixon Junction in Gaul while travelling on a motorcycle. P.T. Susanta is hacked to death while travelling on a motorcycle. This is the 3rd such murder reported over the last week.
Taking a look at our developing story for tonight, the Department of Meteorology says that the low pressure system which has developed over the Bay of Bengal could move closer to Sri Lanka tomorrow. News for Shahin Jurangapati reports.
The low pressure systems which developed in the Bay of Bengal has now been located 600 kilometers off Jaffna. Now, these satellite images that we received shows that where the depression is experienced. Now, the Department of Meteorology states that these low pressure systems could make its way towards the Jaffna and Mullaitivu areas. Now, the Met Department also states that heavy rains may develop in several parts of the island during the evenings. Now, the Met Department advises the fishing and naval community to refrain from maritime activities in these areas.
The Met Department says that it has now developed into a depression and is now moving towards western northwest from the Bay of Bengal.
At about 8:30 this morning, a low pressure system developed southwest over the Bay of Bengal. We expect that it will develop into a depression. It is now moving towards the coasts of Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka. Therefore, we ask all fishermen at sea to return immediately. Heavy rainfall can be expected over the coastal areas of Sri Lanka in the coming 24 hours. The Batticaloa and Trincomalee districts will experience heavy rains. We have estimated that the eye of the storm is about 600 kilometers off the coasts of Jaffna and Mullaitivu. This will mostly affect the north and east, especially Jaffna. Trincomalee and Batticaloa. Seas can be expected to be rough with strong winds and heavy rainfall. We expect that this system will come closer to us tomorrow.
We witnessed today how fishermen in Jaffna refrained from heading out to sea. Several areas in the Gaul district recorded more than 100 millimeters of rainfall from 2:30 am to 11 am today. Balangudu received 63.05 millimeters of rainfall, while rains were also experienced in catchment areas. Lakshapano received 88.5 millimeters of rainfall, while Norton, Canyon, Samanala and Mausakkale received 77.5, 38, 29.5 and 23 millimeters of rainfall respectively. And as a result of the heavy rains, the Ceylon Electricity Board says that if the rains continue, water levels of reservoirs would reach spill level.
A young woman was killed in Migoda, Habarado and Gaul when heavy rains triggered a landslide and an earth embankment collapsed on her home. She has been identified as 26-year-old Gayani Chandima, who was employed at the Southern Province Department of Cooperatives. While she was alone in the house at the time of the landslide, she succumbed to her injuries while en route to the Karapitia Teaching Hospital. Heavy rains inundated houses in Dangedera and Bibiswatta in Gaul. Croplands in Bandegama were also inundated by heavy rainfall, while the water levels of the Ginganga also rose. The Mathura district received 85 millimeters of rainfall, while Walgama, Polhena, Avariyawatta and Saddati Samawata were inundated. Instructions have been given to the relevant officials to provide cooked food items. Groups of the District Disaster Management Unit, Divisional Secretariat and officials of the relevant local government institutions are engaged in inspection tours in order to identify what relief should be given. While heavy rains were also experienced in Kalawanchikudi in Batikalo, a youth was killed by a falling telecommunications post on the Balangoda Pallebadda road in Valigepola. The police said that the heavy rains had uprooted trees which fell onto telecommunications cables, bringing down 3 telecommunication posts. The 23-year-old youth who had been travelling on the road was killed by one of the falling posts. Meanwhile, the body of a woman who recently succumbed to injuries sustained when an earth embankment collapsed on a house in Bulugahalanda, Alavala, was brought to the home of a relative today. Her daughter, who was also inside the house at the time of the incident, was killed on the spot.
Much focus is directed towards the Devine Agema bill at present. Minister Susil Premchanda today said that the Samudya program will be further benefited by the Devine Agema bill.
Through the Devine Agema bill, it is expected to bring the Upcountry Development Authority, Sri Lanka Southern Development Authority and Samurdhi Development Authority under one institute and broaden rural development. After taking into consideration 3 petitions filed challenging this bill, the Supreme Court recommended that this bill must be directed for the approval of provincial councils. Accordingly, measures were taken to obtain the approval of provincial councils, and the governor of the Northern Province, where a provincial council is not yet established, the bill was forwarded to Parliament once again. However, several petitions have been filed before the Supreme Court against this bill yet again. It is against this backdrop that matters such as the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, the Executive, Legislature and Judiciary came forward. At present, government ministers are organising conferences to educate the public about the Devine Agema bill. Some of the development officials made a request that they be employed as state sector employees. Once this bill is brought in, these people will become employees of a department. There are various views that all funds will be governed from Colombo. No, there will be no changes in the existing framework. I was a member of the committee that formed this bill. Through this bill, some of the beneficiaries will receive more benefits and some people who are not included in the Samurdhi program will be included in the Devine Agema program.
Devine Agema වැඩ පිළිවෙලේ ඉන්නවා. අපි අද වාසනාවන්ත වෙලා තියෙනවා කියලා මම කල්පනා කරනවා. මේ රටේ
I believe that we have been very fortunate. The Devine Agema bill can be considered as an important means of directing the village level strength to the development of the country and its journey towards becoming the wonder of Asia.
අනිත් හැම හොඳ දෙයක් ගැනම වාද විවාද වෙනවා. මේ ගැන ත්‍රිවිධ මත තියෙනවා. මේ රටේ තවත් දේශපාලන පෙරළියක
This is yet another political change in the country. The executive, legislature, the courts and the legal constitution must be equal. If not, this country cannot move forward. When the executive, legislature and the courts are pulling towards one side, the rights of the innocent voters are annulled. This is the main point. I have a stance. It is not the stance of the party, it is neither the stance of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, nor it is the stance of all in the alliance. With the system in action at present, it is not as easy to abolish the provincial council system as we think it is. We can do this with the 2/3 majority in the parliament, but I don't think we should do that. Instead, we need to strengthen provincial councils with certain amendments and then implement this program.
Also in local news, the UNP Deputy Leader Sajid Premdasa says that the independence of the judiciary must be protected. He expressed this view at a Sasunataruna program held today.
Financial aid was given to the Sri Lanka Sugatarama Vihara in Morakele, Nataddiya, under the face of the Sasunataruna program. Ministers and parliamentarians connected to the government are signing a no-confidence motion against the Chief Justice. Against this backdrop, all of us must stand up for the independence and supremacy of the judiciary. We must dedicate ourselves to taking the streets against the government's malicious finger-pointing and protect the judiciary.